l'autre que Neville Longbottom. I believe all these people are here for me. Jeez.
Bonjour, Montreal. Incredible. This is wild.
So many people.
If you want to impress them, you could just say Poutine and everybody's It's not a swear word. It's you know what it is.
Poutine,
right?
oh,
Yeah, there you
c'est bon.
How you guys doing?
Very good.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. You guys had a good, you arrived yesterday?
Yeah, arrived late last night.
Late last
saw the buzz of the city, everyone on a Friday night, out and about. And felt, we were saying how it feels like all the street signs and all the architecture of the city is just so what we obviously associate with Europe and France. So it's really nice to see the like cross cultures. It's cool.
Most definitely. I don't know if you guys have checked out the Jazz Fest. The Jazz Fest's going on. And tonight the Roots are playing. Yeah.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're playing on the street.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like open to the public.
Open to the public. We have a lot of free concerts during Jazz Fest. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Amazing.
to find out.
This evening?
This evening, yeah.
Then
Absolutely.
that's where we'll be going from here.
This is where you'll find them.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. So can you guys tell me a little bit about the current projects you're working on? I heard that you have a book that is going to come out or coming out?
It's out. Yeah, it came out in April.
Woo!
Thank you. Yeah, it's called Go Gently, and it's basically about different things we can each individually be doing around the climate crisis and around like how to use our kind of being basically more resourceful and resilient as we face the issues, and trying to hopefully make people, each of us, feel more connected to the larger issues that can feel often quite out of our grasp or overwhelming, and how they relate to our day-to-day activities. And it really focuses predominantly on like your home environment. So yeah, it came out across North America in April.
Fantastic. Can you repeat the title?
The full title is Go Gently, Actionable Steps to Nurture Yourself and the Planet.
Fantastic. Go get that book, guys.
Woo!
And Mr. Lewis, what are you currently working on? I heard
Wow,
series of shows.
I just feel like I'm not doing enough now because
She wrote a book during COVID. What are you doing?
It's just a little TV show. I mean, she's saving the world.
It's not a little TV show.
Well,
It's
yes,
very brilliant.
But it's not going to save the planet. No, I did, the last couple of years I did a TV show called All Creatures Great and Small, which was, I think, 2 people have seen. I don't even know if it's on in Canada. It was on, what was it? It is, okay. So it is on, just 2 people, sorry. No, it genuinely, it did really well in the UK, and miraculously it's done very, very well in the United States. And so hopefully more people in this room will get to see it at some point. But they've just finished series 3, which I'm not in, but I'm very much hoping to be, because they're going to be doing like 5 of them, so I'm really hoping to be coming back for the next one.
It's fantastic. Thank you. We're going to start. We'll start taking questions from the audience, and once again, you can line up right over here in the microphone there, and right over there, as people are running. Don't run each other over. Vous pouvez demander des questions, le micro, un ici et un autre là. Je vois déjà qu'il y a des gens ici, alors je vais commencer ce côté-ci. I'm just going to start on this side, so please go ahead with your question.
Hi. A question for both of you is, have there ever been any habits that you picked up from the characters you've portrayed previously?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about whenever you play any kind of character over a relatively long period of time is the lines between yourself and the character do tend to blur sometimes. And that's kind of half the battle, actually, a lot, is that if you are playing a character for a while, you need to remember where you end and the character begins. And it happens, sometimes you see it with with any kind of show, when the show goes on for a lengthy period of time, it can be quite difficult for people to keep the character as it should be, and you can start to see, you know, after like shows get into like season 9 and 10, that the characters become a bit different or a bit more fluid because people are maybe having too much fun, or maybe because they've kind of forgotten where the character should be. And I've done that before. I've been guilty of that before, and you have to sort of remind yourself, and it is quite one of the difficult battles of playing a character for a long time. But there's also the flip side of it where you kind of like to do it the other way. Like I've played a couple of characters that I really liked them and thought they were really cool and cooler than me. And so I would steal bits of their personality, or like maybe a catchphrase or something that they said, and I was like, when I get back home to England, I'm gonna start saying that. That's pretty cool. And I have done that. I am guilty of that, doing that a couple of times before. So yeah, not so much with Neville. He probably got a bit more of me than. Do you know which movie is it? When we get on the back of the carriage and we meet Luna for like the first time, and she's being weird, and Neville's just like giving her this side eye, like, oh man, I can't. That was all me. I was just like, that was how I am with people. I'm just like, oh, yo, like. So I did remember watching that movie and being like, oh my god, that's not Neville at all. That is so Matthew. So yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah, I feel with Ginny, I think also it's hard because it was such like those years that we played those characters, you're like finding yourself as well. So like, and you go through so many different evolutions of yourself in a very short space of time, I think, when you're a teenager particularly. So I feel like I was coming even as myself, as a different self a lot of the times, and Ginny obviously was meant to be having an arc in that same thing. So I got quite confused for sure at times. And I think even after we finished the films, it took me a while, much longer than I thought, I feel, to sort of like shed that character, like not in a way that I wanted to get rid of her, but in a way that I was like, oh wow, actually not sure who was who. And I think maybe differently to Neville, but for me and Ginny, I really looked up to how she was written and who she was as a character. And I feel like a lot of people I talk to who really love Ginny always look up to her as a kind of very strong, kind of unapologetically herself, like very kind of confident character, which I definitely wasn't at times. So I feel like I wanted parts of her, so I was quite happy to take parts of Ginny into my life. But it is true, like how Matt says, I think a massive challenge more on the acting perspective is like having that boundary where you have to like leave yourself outside the room, which sometimes can be really hard if that day you're actually having like a lot going on in your own life. To actually leave that out of the door is one thing, and then taking bits of a character into you is like a whole nother experience that just kind of happens.
Have you done different accents for stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tricky sometimes for me. If you do it for a period of time, I tend to adopt accents from a character I've done, and then it takes me a few months afterwards to shake it off.
Yeah, and people are like, stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Drop it. Friends like, call you out.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Question right over here.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, what was your favorite scene to shoot in Harry Potter, and have you ever stolen anything from set?
You know, the more and more people have asked have you stolen anything from the sets, the more and more I now regret realizing I didn't steal anything, and then I hear everyone and what they've stolen. I thought, wow, I was really really missing out on that opportunity. The only thing I accidentally left with once was like one Gringotts coin in my pocket. Turns out I can't spend it anywhere else. Honestly, because I was like, if I was to take anything, it would have been better than a Gringotts coin, to be honest. So no, I didn't take anything. And my favourite scene or scenes were always in the Burrows, the Weasley house. They were just that was my favourite place to be, for sure. I just felt so lucky that I could be part of this additional family, not just the family of like Hogwarts, but also the Weasley family household. And it took us so long to do every scene we shot in the house because everyone would end up like giggling and laughing. Like we'd get us together and for no reason we'd just be like, just our concentration level would just go out the window and it would take quite a while to do the scenes. But yeah, I loved that set, and that set every year they like slightly changed it to make it feel like it was kind of like a living, sort of breathing place. So I really liked that. And there was not, in the whole house, nothing was straight, like purposefully as a design. You know, there wasn't like a straight wall or a straight shelf or anything. Everything was slightly kind of angled, so it made you feel like everything was quite like off kilter. Yeah.
I stole a fair amount. But still feel like I should have stolen more.
If you want to share anything with me, you know,
Well, it's because Bonnie's right. Like when you speak to like Tom and Jason and a bunch of the others, they stole so much stuff. And like Tom's got like half of Leesden Prop House in his like shed, and I'm like really jealous that he's got all this cool stuff. Even at the reunion when we went back for that like last year, he brought this big backpack. And all that was in it was his little camera so he could take his photographs. And I was like, Tom, why the big backpack? And he's like, I'll show you. He was just shoveling stuff from Gringotts into his bag. And it's not even a working set anymore, it's like a museum. So like this stuff is like, needs to be there. And a lot of it's nailed down. I'm not even kidding, like with one foot up, like trying to pull this stuff off from Gringotts. So he could put it in his little backpack that he brought with him. Not kidding. Yeah, he got a lot. I stole Neville's costume from the final movie, like the hero version, with the cardigan and all. Yeah.
like everyone else has
They all stole theirs. Well, it was. So I won't say the name. I'll tell you later. But my dresser, who would dress me, which is the most pretentious thing of all time. But he came into my dressing room after we'd finished and wrapped, and he said, "Do you want this?" And I was like, "Of course I want this." He said, "Well, stick it in your bag right now, and I'll pretend I didn't notice." And I was like, "Yeah." So I stuck it in, and I left with it, and no one stopped me. So I've still got that. I stole a bit. This was the first thing I stole, I think, was a bit of the maze, you know, from Goblet of Fire. I don't know why. It was kind of a bit of a kleptomaniac moment where I was on the set and I just went, steal it. Why? Steal it. Why? Do it. Okay. And I just grabbed it and put it in my pocket and I felt like terrible. And it's like not even real. It's like plastic. But I stole that. I got a few other things as well, just bits of stuff, and I got my false teeth. I didn't steal them, they gave me them, because who else is going to wear those?
I know some people.
Oh God. So yeah, I wish I'd, on that bombshell, I wish I'd stolen more. What was the question, my favourite bit? I liked filming the bridge sequence when we blew up the bridge in Death Valleys Part 2 for several reasons, and I'll try and be quick because I realise I'm still talking. It was a big stunt stuff, which is cool. We put a camera on the back of a quad bike, and that was sort of chasing me, or I was chasing it, and that was really cool. And it was some of it was a night shoot, which was a novelty because they didn't let us out very much. But on a night shoot, we got to go out and go on location, and it was just at night. It's fun. And then we also shot quite a sizable bit of it at the 007 soundstage at Pinewood Studios, which is where they make all the James Bond movies. So you know, to be on a set like that with the history of that soundstage, and to be doing ultimately like stunts and blowing stuff up a la James Bond, that was very cool.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your question. Next question, is that Danny? Go ahead with your question.
Hello, thank you for being here.
Thank
my
you.
question is going to be funny after all that bit of stealing talk, but in recent years, a lot of the cast has been associated with social causes, and I was wondering, how do you think the experience of filming Harry Potter influenced your own values?
That's a great question. Would you like to take a point?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I guess going on again about the Weasleys, I feel like I loved being a Weasley because they had amazing core values as a family. They're a very sustainable family, really.
They were. They were hand-me-downs and all that.
The hand-me-down robes,
Yeah.
second-hand. Obviously, Mrs. Weasley loved to knit us jumpers. And, you know, everything definitely wasn't new that we owned. You know, even all our school books at school were like the second-hand ones. They weren't the new textbooks. So yeah, I feel like they had some good core values. And I think obviously what I loved about playing when we were our characters, obviously we were like really embarrassed by that. But I hope that maybe as they grew older as Weasleys, they began to respect like the values that Mrs. Weasley left them. And yeah, I feel like I have taken on similar elements of that. And yeah, I feel like the whole series, obviously, of Harry Potter has always been, well, to me, I feel that it is obviously about being accepted and being loved for who you are. And that's what Harry Potter feels to me like, and sort of that good triumphing over evil. And they're pretty good values to take into life or to apply to any sort of social issue, like you're saying. And yeah, but I'm sure also a lot of it is just from maybe our own characteristics that we've brought to things we care about. But I hope that answers your question.
That's a great answer, actually. I never thought about the whole Weasley thing. That's actually really clever. I guess there's a whole debate about, as Bonnie was getting into there, kind of the nature versus nurture. You know, all of the kind of things that I'm drawn to on a cultural level, whether it was Harry Potter when I was a kid, or Star Trek, or whatever it is, they all seem to be espouse the same values in terms of tolerance and as Bonnie said, good triumphing over evil and acceptance, and that everyone can be whoever the hell they want to be, and we should all respect that and actually love that. And I think one of the main stories about Harry Potter is, and Jason always says this a lot. He talks about Lucius Malfoy ultimately just being an awful racist. I mean, that's what that is. It's not even an analogy. I mean, that's what it is in the context of the book. And I think that the story in that respect is really powerful, and we can learn a lot. And I don't know whether I took those values from the stuff that I am into, Harry Potter, Star Trek, Star Wars, whatever, or whether I had them and that's what drew me to those stories. I don't know which way around it is. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm very proud to be in a film series that shares those ethics, and it's absolutely staunchly what I believe. And hopefully we've both carried those values into the causes and things that we champion later on in life.
Thank you. So you'll stop stealing then?
Excuse me?
So you'll stop stealing then?
Stop stealing.
I don't remember that being a message in the books.
Me neither.
No. It was a victimless crime. Warner Brothers have loads of money. So much money. It's fine. Don't worry about them. They're a big corporation. Forget them. Come on, comrade, you agree?
Completely agree.
I'm kidding. God.
It's like, where's my wallet? Okay. Next question over here.
So my question is for Matthew. Are you familiar with the theory that the chosen one role is a responsibility shared between Harry and Neville, and how do you feel about it?
How do I feel about that? Yes, I'm aware of it in that people have told me stuff like this. And you're kind of really pushing at the boundary of my knowledge of wider Harry Potter lore right now, but I'm going to try and answer the question. So, The concept is that they both could have been the chosen one, but am I right in saying that Voldemort, in going to one of the houses and trying to kill one of them, did he therefore make them the chosen one? Is that sort of right? So he picked Harry, right? Is that what we're saying? But it could have been Neville. Like if he'd chosen that night to go to Neville's house and whack him, it would have been it would have been Neville. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
More or less, but also because of the action of killing the last, I forget, the snake. The action of killing the snake was ultimately kind of.
Yeah, so I guess there's a question to be asked about what actually ultimately killed Voldemort, isn't it? Was it killing the last Horcrux, or was it, hitting Voldemort with a spell or something? Oh God, I'm so lost. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that yes, they both could have achieved it, and my opinion on it is that I think that if Voldemort had gone to Neville's house and had picked Neville, and Neville had been the chosen one, I still think that he would have got the job done. I think, yeah, I do. I mean, that's the thing about Neville is that he could have been and would have been. And I think he showcased that by defeating the final Horcrux at the end. That it might have been a little bumpier road, and he might have gone around the houses a little bit, but he would have got there. He would have absolutely got there. And I just think that his story is so powerful in that respect, and why I enjoyed playing him so much as an actor, because it's such an inspirational tale. The idea that someone from humble beginnings, the most unlikeliest of people. And again, it goes back to the question about values and ethics, of not judging a book by its cover, and that everyone in their own way is valuable. One of the things I hate the most is when I meet someone and I say, oh, so who are you? And they say, I'm nobody. Nobody's nobody. It's not a thing. Everybody is somebody, and everybody's important to somebody else, and everybody can make a difference. And that's what Bonnie's whole book's about. We're all capable of making a difference, no matter how little. It's something, and we're all capable of that. And I think Neville is a great showcase of that, and that's why I love playing him so much.
Thank you. Person way over here.
My question is more for Matthew, but along as you read the book, some point you have to kill Voldemort. So how does it feel to read that you have this kind of save the whole thing at the end?
Was the question, how did it feel when I was reading it, that's how it would end?
At the end you have to save kind of the whole thing and kill Voldemort. How does it feel to read that?
How does it feel? Yikes. Well, I remember I spoke to Joe Rowling at one of the premieres. I think it was the Order of the Phoenix, I believe. And I don't know if she had a drink or what, but she said, I've just written this most amazing bit. I've just finished Deathly Hallows. It's locked away, but I've just written this most amazing bit for Neville. Basically, at the end, he goes, and I was like, no, don't tell me. And she was like, really? You don't want to know? I said, no. The books for me are separate from the films. I want to read. I'm a fan of the books. I want to read it as a fan. I'll find out when I read it or when I get the script or whatever. She was like, okay. So sure enough, I did, and then I got the book, which I had to buy, by the way. Yeah, I bought it at a service station on the M1. Yeah, I was trying. Anyway, so I'm reading it. I'm reading the book, and I'm like, what the hell? He's not even in this bloody thing. What do you mean, this important bit? But I get through, and obviously we get to the end, and we read that amazing bit, and it was fantastic. And just going back to what I said earlier about how it was a wonderful story arc, and I couldn't have thought of a better way for his tale to end, and it was very, as I said, inspiring. But there's kind of stages about that as well, as Bonnie will attest to, which I'm actually really interested in from a directing perspective as well, is that when you do something that's got source material like the book, so it's in the book, great. Is it even going to make the script? Oh, okay, it's in the script as well, brilliant. Are we going to get around to filming it? Oh, we've actually filmed it, this is cool. And then is it going to be in the final cut of the film? So there's like 4 stages in which you still don't know whether it's actually going to see the light of day. And that was a bit that I was so excited for, and I felt was so crucial for Neville's story and the culmination of the entire journey. Every step of the way I was so nervous about it not making it in, but sure enough, there it was. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next question over here.
So, what is your favorite thing about the Harry Potter universe?
The greatest thing? Oh, it's a big
These two right here.
question. Well,
It's a bit obvious though, isn't it?
the greatest thing, magic. I mean, magic is pretty cool. To be honest, I mean, it is the magic. Like the first film is so good. Like when you're really watching it through Harry's eyes with Hagrid, those early scenes, you know, like you're a wizard, Harry, and he's like, what's that? And he goes into these spaces for the first time, like Diagon Alley, and you just sees these little bits of kind of this whole other layer to a world. Like I'm so fascinated by, I guess in sci-fi, this like idea of like dimensions and these ideas of like other realms that you can create and go into. And I feel like when he learns that he's a wizard, even though he doesn't even know probably what that means in that first moment, but like when he goes to Hogwarts for the first time, or gets on the train, or goes through the platform at platform 9 3/4, just that like, that first introduction to magic to me is just the best part of Harry Potter. Just how it's introduced and you see it through this like little kid's wide eyes. That's like the one film I will often happily watch or sit through, pretty much because I'm not in it, so that's why I can watch it. But I love the basic theme of magic.
I get that. I mean, I really enjoyed the first. I recently had to. Well, I say recently. So about 2015. I know, jeez, so old. They asked me to voice one of the Lego Dimensions games as Neville, and I was like, well, I'm 25, so I don't know how to do that. And so I decided to go back and watch one of the early movies to try and figure out what Neville's voice was. They wanted it to be like 14 or something. I was like, what? So I went back to watch it, and exactly like you, I was really enjoying it. Like the first 40 minutes, until my stupid face turns out. But I was really enjoying it up until that point, and for the same reasons. There was something really charming about the escapism of the world, but the fact that it was just on the other side of the brick wall. There was something I really enjoyed about that it was set in the real world, you know, with real King's Cross, which I used to go to very, very often, and all these kind of places, and yet just on the other side of the brick wall was Diagon Alley. And it was so believable that could be. That I really enjoyed that aspect of it, because as a young boy, I was very similar to Neville, and I was quite shy, and I didn't have a huge amount of friends, and I always felt like wouldn't it be exciting if there was something more, you know, there's something else beyond just this kind of getting up and going to school every day, and Harry Potter kind of gave a window into that world, that just on the other side of the brick wall there was this whole world of magic, and I loved that about it. So I totally get what you mean there, and also you guys as well. I mean, the fan base in general. I mean, here we are, 21 years after the first one, you know, over a decade after the last movie. I mean, some of you in here weren't even born when the last film came out, and yet here we are in this room full of people in a foreign country, with people who English is mostly a second language, and yet look at you, this is amazing. This is, you are the best fans in the world, and I think that's part of, that's what makes Harry Potter great.
Right here.
Hello. So obviously, as the films went on, as some of the directors will tell you, making even one Harry Potter film is no small feat. So I was wondering from the both of you, do you have a favorite Harry Potter director / composer / screenwriter?
So you mean you want 3 people that answer?
From each profession.
Oh my god!
Every every head of department,
Who's the best grip boy?
So wait, you want director, composer, and what was the other one?
Yeah, for example,
Scriptwriter.
Chris Columbus, John Williams, and Steve Kloves.
Was it Steve Kloves?
He wrote most of them,
Wrote
except
most
for the
of them,
fifth
Yeah.
one.
There wasn't there like one that he didn't do?
Yeah,
Right,
Order of the Phoenix.
Order of the Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, obviously Steve Kloves. Do you know John Williams, obviously I love literally every brilliant piece of film score he has written, but I also really like the work of, I think he's called Alexandre Desplat, who did the last ones. He is like brilliant and has done so many other films that I'm always like, wow, that score was so good, and I'll wait for the credits to roll up and it's his name again. And I actually I asked to see if I could sit in on like a recording session they did of the score. So I went to Abbey Road, where obviously all the Beatles, like, is most famous for the albums of the Beatles being recorded there. And anyway, they did, I think it was the Order of the Phoenix or Deathly Hallows Part 1, but I sat in on him and the, orchestra and symphony and everything that he was conducting. But he was so, like, in the moment of recording it, he would be very spontaneous to sort of change things, like, as they were recording it. And his mind, just watching him from afar, was really fascinating to watch. Just that kind of interesting, just to kind of watch someone's creativity, I guess, work while they're also recording. Like, I was like, wow. So I liked him. Directing, it's so hard because they were all so different, and also they were different because each time I was working with them, like, my character was in a different space. Like, sometimes I didn't have a big role in a film, even though I respected them as a director, so I didn't get to, like, have as deep a relationship as I did to, say, David Yates at the end, who obviously, that's when Ginny's character was much, like, bigger. I also do think, like, rewatching the first film, talking about that introduction to the world of Harry Potter, like, I do think that Christopher Columbus did an incredible job at really starting the foundational kind of wonder and sort of warmth of the series, that, like, we couldn't have just got there. Like, he really, like, took it up a level, and the rest were able to work on that. So I often like to, like, remember him, because sometimes he's not so, like, thought about or remembered. But they were also, like, now I'm saying one, I'm like, oh, but also Alfonso Cuarón was this.
No, you must pick
Mike
one.
Newell.
And it means you hate all the others.
It means I hate all the others.
If you pick one.
Yeah, okay. Well, they probably won't hear me say this, so I guess I'll just say Chris Columbus. And I answered them all. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be quite similar. I mean, Steve Kloves, I think, it's very difficult for me to look past him, really. He's the one that I'd kind of spent, the one talking to, and who I spoke to him about Neville, and I remember always, after I came back from the second film, I had a bit of a growth spurt, and I thought that they were going to recast me, like, convinced of it. And David Heyman, who I spoke to a couple of years ago, swears to me, because I told him this, and he swears to me that he had a meeting with Steve about it, and like, was there something they should put into the writing of maybe why Neville looks completely different? But he swears that between the pair of them, at no point did they ever consider recasting. He said Steve Kloves was no way, and I was like, oh, I got time for him. Yeah, thanks, Steve. Composer, I'm sorry, I'm going to be very cliche and just say John Williams, simply because, his body of work is just incredible. He has soundtracked not even just my childhood, my entire life through the movies that I've watched. I don't think there's anyone in the industry that within just a couple of bars, you can not only know what film it is, but conjure up exactly the bit of the film when it is, and what's your favourite bit, and all the actors that are in it. It's just, his music is just, it's just incredibly visceral, and emotive, and I just think that what he did with the series, it wouldn't be as iconic. I mean, the films might have been as good, but it wouldn't have been as iconic and culturally important had it not had that soundtrack for the first movie. So John, and then director is really, really difficult. I appreciated them all in their own way, and actually as I've got older and done other different things and worked with other directors, I've learned a lot about what they were trying to do and their methods that they were trying to do, and I so wish I could go back and be directed by some of those guys again, because as a kid you don't really get it. You don't really, maybe you might not understand what they're asking of you, or why they're asking you in a certain way, or what it is they're saying. And now I look back, oh, that's what Mike meant when he said that, or that's what Alfonso was trying to get out of me when he said that. And it didn't come until much later in my career, so I would love to go back, and I actually appreciate them all much more now than I did even then. But if I had to pick one, which you're twisting my arm to do, is David Yates, because David, I think had a real affection for Neville. I think that Neville resonated with him in some way that it might not necessarily have done with the other guys, and I think that he saw a bit of himself maybe in Neville, and we had lots of long conversations about the character in a way that I never did with the other guys, and I just felt very much that Neville as a character was in very safe hands with David, and we curated the character in those last 4 movies very much together. It was very collaborative, so yeah, I have to pick David. Thanks so much.
We only have time for one more question. I'm really sorry. It
Sorry,
breaks the
guys.
hearts of other people there.
I talk too much. I'm sorry.
No, these are great answers.
I do.
Everybody loves hearing the answer. It's all good. So go ahead with your question.
Thank you. I'll try to end on a high note. First of all, a thank you to Matthew. If I didn't say that enough, 11 years ago, more or less, you went to a country, Brazil, São Paulo, for the Deathly Hallows Part 1
Yes, I
premiere.
did.
Yes, it was amazing. Thank you so much for being so kind to us.
The pleasure was all mine. It was fantastic.
Bonnie, you owe us a visit. We're waiting.
I'm waiting for the invitation.
Oh.
I just got it.
Okay, I'll be sharing this. People will know. You guys will go.
Are you from Sao Paulo?
Yes.
Yes.
I live here now, but I am originally from Sao Paulo.
Yeah, it was lovely. I can't wait.
So my question is actually, do you guys have any embarrassing stories from the set that you guys or your colleagues do? Anything that might actually piss them off if you guys share with us?
The shoelace scene.
I wish I sometimes of these had a really good.
I know.
But often ask embarrassing stories or a really funny people like to know about jokes and pranks.
Yeah.
And I don't have a story that's just gonna make you laugh as good as you all just laughed a second ago. Do you?
No, weirdly, I don't get embarrassed very often. Weirdly, I don't know. I used to, but I don't so much. But I do. I remember there was again. This is kind of a naff story. I'm really sorry. You're probably expecting a real great punchline. I remember on Half-Blood Prince, we had a big long scene, and it was 2 pages of dialogue, and then my line was the last line of the scene. But I only had 1 line, and it was 4 words. It was Ron had come into the Great Hall, and he was in all the keeper outfit.
It's Quidditch, yeah, he was a keeper.
Keeper, yeah. He was in all the outfit, and I had to just walk past him and say, "Good luck, Ron." That was it. 4 words. And I don't know if you guys have had much experience with acting, but this is the worst thing you can possibly have. This is the death knell for an actor when you have 1 line at the end of a really long scene. And the whole way through you're going, do not mess this up. Do not mess this up. Everyone else has been perfect. Do not mess. Is it my go? No, it's not my turn yet. Okay, he's still talking. Okay, but you're coming up in a minute. You're coming up in a minute. No, it's my turn. Shit, go. Okay, so you go, and that happened, and it happened to be one of those days when we had. It was one of our press junket days when we had all of the world's press, no doubt from Brazil, were there from all over the world, and they were all behind the monitors watching with the headsets on. And I mean, it's not hilarious, it's not funny. I got it wrong. I just went up, I literally at the end of this long scene, I just went, I'll do that again. And we had to go and start the whole scene again. It was really embarrassing. Yeah, I'm sorry it's not more hilarious, but it was very embarrassing for me. And I'm surprised they invited me to Brazil after that. Honestly, you know.
You guys are always welcome there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of Montreal Comiccon and all the Harry Potter fans out here, we want to thank you very much. Big round of applause for our two guests, Wright and Matthew Lewis.
Thank you.
We'll be signing autographs and photos all weekend.
We'll see you out there. We're going to be back there at the end of the day as well. After photo ops, we'll be back at the table. So merci beaucoup. Au revoir.